p.m. having arrived for call to order this regular meeting of the Finance Organization Personnel Committee. Meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted on the website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. Copies of the printed agenda are available in the wall pockets just as you enter the meeting room. Public and other city councilors will be recognized to ask questions, make comments on the agenda item under discussion. After being recognized, all remarks will be made through the chair, and I'll not recognize an individual a second time until everyone who wishes has had a chance to speak. Anyone who wishes to address the committee is asked to go to one of the microphones in the room and identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking. Written comments from the public will be accepted at the city clerk's office until Tuesday at 1 p.m. The minute taker is participating remotely. Committee members and those who are speaking, please remember to turn on your microphone. And if we're speaking too softly or forget to turn it on, we're going to get a message from either the minute taker or the control room. So, Finance Organization and Personnel, we've got half a dozen items. The first one is a petition for a quick claim Railroad Street easement on Emerald Street. You're representing, welcome.
Is this the mic I can use?
Sure.
Sure.
Make sure it's green.
It looks green to me. Working?
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Attorney Dan Rich. I'm with Pretty Flaherty. I am located at 57 North Main Street in Concord, New Hampshire. It was a beautiful drive down today. I represent 120 Emerald Street LLC, which is an entity that owns the Arcadia Apartments here in town. We are in the process of selling that building to the current property manager. We think that's a great relationship because it allows someone who's familiar with the building to step in. As part of that process, through diligence, the buyer has found, I provided a plan in advance, but there is basically a very old, much older than me, railroad side track that basically borders the front of the apartment complex. That apartment is standing. I don't know why they did not go in the past before me to try to extinguish that, but the buyer's request and why I'm here tonight is for the city, who is the current owner of the right-of-way, to consider relinquishing that right and quit claiming any interest it may have to the current owner, 120 Emerald Street LLC. In exchange, some communications I've had with city personnel, they're requesting a sidewalk easement for the northwest corner of the property, which we are willing and, certainly amicable to providing. We think this is a great thing for the city, and I'm open to any questions.
Okay. Questions up here? Yes, sir.
Was that easement part of the railroad?
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Was that easement part of the railroad for the bike path? Kind of the same situation that we had with the Colonial Mill people when they wanted to build?
As I recall, that's true, but the engineer slash public works director is going to straighten it out for us.
Slash yada yada. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Don Lucio, City and, that's going to take some getting used to. Don Lucio, Public Works Director. Yes, Councilor Roberts is absolutely right. This is kind of some of the messy history of the railroad property through Keene. You may recall, the chair may recall, a number of years ago, the city acquired a section of the rail trail that runs from Winchester Street up to Emerald Street. And our bike path is on that now. This was actually a spur that came off of that section of rail corridor to service some historic properties that had access to that rail spur, warehouse access to the rail line. The easement that the applicant is actually asking us to quit claim was designed to benefit both the property that we know now as the Arcadia Apartments and also the next parcel down on Emerald Street. But the bottom line is that this easement is now, I think a portion of it is actually inside the building, and a portion of it is their front parking lot. The city has no need or intention or desire to ever use or turn that back into a rail spur. So, I think this is a pretty simple matter of trying to clean up some old deeds and titles, and Public Works definitely supports the request. At the same time, as the gentleman indicated, I can neither confirm nor deny that we built a city sidewalk on private property. I will use the passive voice and say that a sidewalk has been built without acknowledging who might have done that. But there is a small encroachment of the city sidewalk onto the subject parcel. So I think, this is an opportunity to sort of clean up both of those title issues. And again, we have no problem with the request.
Other questions? Meets the needs of the city attorney's office?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody from the public wish to speak? So a motion, please.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and to execute a release deed of the city's interest in real property, AKA the railroad easement, impacting the property at 120 Emerald Street, more particularly depicted on a certain plan entitled Right-of-Way and Track Map, Connecticut River RRC Company, operated by the Boston and Maine Railroad, Station 1108 plus 80 to Station 1143 plus 724, and being a portion of the property interest conveyed to the city in the quit-claim deed recorded at the Cheshire County Registry of Deeds, Book 1259, page 0808, and further to authorize the city manager to negotiate and to accept a sidewalk easement in a form acceptable to the city engineer and the city attorney.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion, members of the committee? All right, all in favor? It's unanimous. So what will happen next is, this goes as a recommendation to be passed to the whole city council next Thursday night, so you'll hear from us soon.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Aaron Costa.
Good evening, Aaron Costa, Assistant Public Works Director. Here tonight, I've got two items on the agenda. The first is for the consultant selection for the 3 million gallon water storage tank repair project. And the city owns a 3 million gallon water storage tank. It's the large structure up behind Robin Hood Park. It's a welded steel tank that was constructed in 1962, and it's due for refurbishment. In 2013, we had Ty and Bond do a preliminary evaluation, and they cited some deficiencies. And in 2019, we had Tata and Howard do a more in-depth evaluation of the tank and really develop a business case whether it was prudent to tear that tank down and rebuild new or go ahead and rehabilitate the existing structure. And after their evaluation, their recommendation was to rehabilitate the existing structure. The steel's in good condition as far as we know, and it just needs, the bulk of the work is just the coating system inside and out needs to be redone, along with some other minor, correcting some other minor deficiencies. The city advertised this past fall an RFP for consulting services, and we got 2 proposals. A review team reviewed those proposals, but we couldn't make a selection just based on the proposals. Ty and Bond's a good firm, and we've done lots of work with them. And Weston & Sampson's also a very good firm. So we asked them to come in for interviews, and while the interview team rated Weston and Sampson to be the best consultant for this particular project, and they are the lesser cost of those two proposals. And so staff is recommending that the city manager be authorized to negotiate, execute a contract with Weston and Sampson for the 3 million gallon tank consulting work.
Questions, members of the committee? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Not a member of the committee, but I noticed that the motion says engineering services for a 1 million gallon water storage tank, and it should be 3.
Good catch. Members of the public? In that case, motion, please.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute a contract with Weston and Sampson, Inc. for engineering services for the 3 million gallon water storage tank repair project for an amount not to exceed $127,550.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion up here? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Next one.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is just asking for the authority for the city manager to execute state aid grant documentation. The city recently completed a sludge pump replacement project at the wastewater plant. It replaced 5 original sludge pumps. And this project was budgeted for and, planned for through the city's CIP plan. Good project. It is now complete. We had applied for the state aid grant, and what that sort of means is that if we maintain eligibility all the way through with DES and comply with all their requirements, that at the end of the project, it may be eligible for some funding. So it looks like that this project may be eligible for up to 20% grant funds, or approximately $100,000. And this authority given to the manager would just be for executing those project closeout documents as it pertains to the state aid grant.
Thank you. Questions here? Public? Motion.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to execute, accept, and expend state aid grant funds from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services for the sludge pump replacement project.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. City Assessor.
Good evening, Dan Langell, City Assessor. I'm here tonight looking to see if the city is interested in selling a parcel off the end of Beaver Street. This is about a 1 acre lot in the medium density zone. There should be a map included in your packet. It's the large lot in the middle in yellow. We became owners of this as a process of a tax deed back in March of 2016. We did try to sell it back then. It ended up becoming unsuccessful. The winning bidder chose not to go forward. At that time, there was a house on the property. It was probably built in the early 1900s, a lower quality home that was in very poor condition. The city deemed it to be hazardous and also a liability risk, so we did tear down that home, and as it sits today, it is a vacant piece of land. It is a good-sized lot, however, there is some potential topography issues on the right-hand side of the lot, and also maybe some access issues. But we do sell the property as is, with no warranties, so any bidder or buyer would have to do their due diligence as far as what they could do with the property. This comes up because the past few weeks, our office has been contacted by 2 separate parties with interest in purchasing the property. They are looking to build a small home on it. So the city did review it. We have no reason to retain it, and I think it's in the best interest if we do get it off of our books, back on the tax rolls, and potentially add new housing to the city. So the city staff is in favor of selling this piece of property.
Thank you. Questions here? Yes.
You mentioned that there's 2 different parties involved. How will you decide who to sell it to? Will you ask for bids? And will you open it up? Even though 2 have contacted you, it's possible if people were made aware of it that many more would be, and that we certainly would want to get the best price somebody's willing to pay for it. So
Sure.
can you just explain the process?
Yep, great question. So we do go through our purchasing office, and we do sell it by a sealed bid process. So we do advertise it in as many locations as we can, usually for 3 to 4 weeks. And then we do ask for sealed bids with their intent of what to use the property for. And then we open them all at once, and the city makes the determination to offer it to either the highest bid or the best use of the property. So it will be open to anyone from the public to bid on this property.
When you advertise it, besides the newspaper,
Sure.
given that so many people look online now,
Yep.
will it be available online for people as well?
Yep,
to
so in the
look at
past,
it?
we have advertised it like on our website. We have used social media, posting it there. We do contact anyone that we know is interested. We also have, through the purchasing office, they have contractors that may be interested. We do send out interest to all of them who are connected as well to their database.
Do you have a reserve price on that where the city is saying, hey, if the bid is so low, we're not going to accept it?
So the city does reserve the right to reject any bid it doesn't deem it's in its best interest. Typically, we try to recover our costs for back taxes and any expenses we put on the property. We can't make any profit from the property since we took it by tax deed,
But we want to recover what we've lost.
certainly.
Thank you.
And what have we lost?
So roughly taxes, I believe, are just over 20,000, probably around 22,000 back taxes. And then to demo the building was probably another 15,000. So we're between $35,000 and $40,000 that has been lost on the property.
And what do you think the value of that property is?
So right now, we have an assessment about $36,000 on the land. Considering our assessments are below market value, but also the parcel, although it's a good size, it does have some limitations, again, with its topography and access, so it's not as desirable lot as some of the other lots in town. So, anywhere between 30 and 40,000 would be definitely a reasonable price for this property.
Anything else? Motion, please.
Yes. Move to recommend that the city sell 270 Beaver Street, map 552, lot 035, through a sealed bid process and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute the sale with the chosen bidder.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks. Organizational chart. Deputy City Manager, gonna?
Sure. This is something that came about after there were changes to the salary scales through the council process, and also as there have been some changes made to from assistant city managers to deputy city managers. There was an effort to go about reviewing the chart, and we discovered that is something that is in code. It is not something that is administrative. And so that is something we have to do through the council process. Is there a copy of the chart in your packet?
Yes.
Okay. So as you will see, what's pretty much changing is down at the bottom, instead of seeing 3 assistant city managers and portfolios, those are organized now under 2 deputy city managers and the city manager. So we don't have particular departments assigned to particular deputy city managers. The deputy city managers work with the city manager, who is the supervisory position over the department heads. And that's the primary change.
Questions here?
There may also be some changes to boards and commissions that are no longer existent.
So, just for the sake of those that are listening in, because this is what I hear the most is, what is facilities? Do we have that ironed out yet? And if we haven't, then I'll just say we don't know.
A good point. So it used to be Parks, Recreation, and Facilities. We also used to have Communications and Marketing. But my understanding is that Facilities is a responsibility of one deputy city manager, and Public Information is a responsibility of another, and Economic Development is a responsibility of within the deputy city manager job description.
But I guess I was more getting to like, facilities, all the buildings, but not cemeteries and fields? I guess we may not know at this point.
That's great. I can look into that. In the past, Parks and Recreation includes Parks, Recreation, and cemeteries. So facilities has been about anything that went through our facilities assessment, for example. And I think that's a good way to define it.
Okay.
But we can certainly come back with some clarification before next Thursday, if that helps.
It might be worthwhile.
Okay, that's a good question.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else? Here. Whose turn?
Mine, do we want to move this or put it
Yeah.
on more time and
No,
place?
no.
Clarify,
I'm not gonna hold it up.
okay. Move to recommend the adoption of ordinance O-2024-10.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further questions? All in favor? No one opposed? Unanimous. Chief?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, other councilors. Jason Martin, Acting Fire Chief. This item before you tonight is to request the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee to make a recommendation to rescind resolutions R-2010-33, R-2010-34, R-2010-35, and R-2010-39 relating to special equipment purchase standardizations. Recently, the fire department has been evaluating these special equipment purchase standardization resolutions. We have determined that the 4 current resolutions prevent the fire department from competitively purchasing the best equipment available on the market. Since the adoption of these sole source resolutions, technology significantly has changed and improved. This also increased the number of manufacturers and vendors, resulting in better competitive pricing. This shows the need for a more flexible procurement process. So the fire department is asking to rescind those resolutions. Any questions?
Questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I could not go back in time far enough to find the minutes from 2010 to figure out why we put these on the books. I'm curious for why. I'm glad to get rid of sole source, so I'm going to be supportive of it. But I'd be curious if we could look at, because I'm sure these all came from one meeting, or at least most of them came from one meeting. 33, 34, and 35 they were just in a row in 2010. So I'm curious what the reason why we picked those vendors and like what was the problem we were trying to solve at that point in time. So I just can't go back that far. I can only go to 2015.
I do not have that information in front of me either.
I'm looking this way to see if we can go back that far somehow.
I'm
Well-
certain the city clerk can find minutes from back that far, and we can look into that if you like. I know that, I can't speak for the fire department. From the
Yeah.
IT department's perspective, there were standards that made sense back then because of the availability and price of buying things in quantities. I can't speak to the fire department, but we can
To
certainly.
clarify, I'm not looking for an answer today. It's just
Okay.
before the next Thursday, if we can figure out why. Just like, if I could just get a copy of the minutes from the meeting where they were passed, like, that would be helpful.
So essentially, it became apparent over time with certain items, it was becoming difficult to purchase them when you had to bid them every single time. And we never had another process up until, I think this, not since Eve has been purchasing agent, but the prior one, came up with a number of different schemes that are very much akin to the federal procurement process where you can standardize, because you don't want 2 guys with this equipment, the next 2 guys with different equipment. And that was the principle behind most of them at the time. But as the chief has said, it's changed so much that you can achieve the same thing by going out and beating on people in your bid process.
That's exactly what I'm worried about, is if you end up with, the problem was we were trying to solve, we had 5 of these and 5 of these and 5 of these, and then we needed maintenance contracts for 5 of these and 5 of these and 5 of these, and then we needed equipment to service, different things, and it gets expensive and complicated when you have varying equipment. That's what exactly what I was afraid of.
Colonel?
I was, excuse me, I was on the finance committee way back then, and one of the things they were having was they were basically kind of applying multi-year grants that we were going to get the same thing, because I knew at one time back there when the fire chief came in, because there was a whole bunch of safety equipment that you wanted to replace and standardize. And I think that was one of the reasons they came up with that. And the second part, there was very few companies that you could go and get the stuff. But that was, most of it was all for standardization. And you're right that they wanted to make sure we met the requirements of the grants that were coming. And you also did that for the river or the water safety rescue and stuff. And we had to have specific ones so we could get this on this side of the state. Thank you.
I think so. I think I'm going to reword this slightly. I don't think it's us presenting it, right? I believe it'd be the full council. So move to recommend that the city council rescind resolutions R 2010-33, R 2010-34, R 2010-35, and R 2010-39 relating to special equipment purchase standardization.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? No one's opposed? Unanimous. Thanks, chief.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to adjourn. So the next time we meet is finance. Are we going to all wear purple, or what are we going to do? We missed a couple of years.
Yeah.
We're going to go back into,
The theme?
yeah,
Different color each week.
Pick a theme.
Hawaiian, go back to Hawaiian shirts or something similar?
That's what Mitch used to do, isn't it? Hawaiian shirts.
Hey, I got a good
Alright.
shirt.
Wine
Yeah,
shirt
we want to
next
go to wine shirt. I got a nice one, that go
Alright.
Atlas
Wine
shirt.
shirt?
Yep,
Wine
time?
shirt, next
Yep.
one,
Might have
yep.
to go shopping.
Oh, I got one prepared.
there you go.
I got one that doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah, that was way back.